Let's start off with this. The European Commission president saying a lot of countries are lining up to become aligned with the trade bloc. When we're talking about countries lining up, what are they lining up to do? Are we talking manufacturing? Are we talking services? Exactly what are they lining up to do?
I can speak in this case on behalf of European Union. So from a European Union side, we are ready to negotiate with US administrations, and actually already this engagement is ongoing to avoid application of those tariffs. Also from our side, we have indicated that in case of those negotiations not leading to positive results, we are also ready to respond with counter tariffs. And from our side, we have already put some concrete proposals on table. For example, as regards industrial goods, we had come forward with a proposal on zero for zero tariffs, and so to say awaiting response from US administration on this concrete proposal, and also waiting to hear from US administration what concrete expectations would be there from their side, because we see that tariffs are actually economically unjustified. They are going to hurt both EU economy, but even more US economy, and we should be working to avoid it.
So, Valdis, you're certainly an advisor when it comes to all these trade deals. You don't have the final say, but you're certainly a voice in the room. So I do want to ask you, we're getting these reports that the U.S. would like to see countries and trade blocs like the EU decouple from China in order to get a deal done with the U.S. How much truth is there in that? When you're having these conversations, whether they're out in the open or back channeling, how much pressure is it on the EU to completely decouple from China as opposed to de-risk?
As you know, the EU policy indeed is about derisking, not decoupling. In any case, there are a number of concerns which we share with US about China on its industrial overcapacities, on its non-market policies and practices. So we're ready to work together with US also to see how to best address those issues. But again, also here, slamming tariffs against us, it's not the best way of getting the allies on board.
All right, so if you don't think it's the best way, I do want to ask you, what does de-risking mean in this current environment? The EU president, she came out with that term a bit ago, probably about a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, to talk about de-risking from China. But the global landscape, especially when it comes to trade, has changed quite dramatically. Before, you were worried about the influx of Chinese imports, and now you're worried about tariffs from the U.S. So in this climate, what does de-risking from China really mean?
Well, first of all, it means identifying strategic dependencies and addressing those strategic dependencies by strengthening EU own production in certain strategic sectors and diversifying our trade and investment partnerships around the world. So it's also about diversification. That's why we are actively engaging right now also with strengthening our trade relations, concluding the new trade agreements with different partners around the world. Recently, we concluded the agreement with Mercosur. We modernized our agreement with Mexico, with Switzerland. We are engaged with a number of negotiations with India, Indonesia, and many other countries. So we are seeking indeed to broad and balanced relationship without allowing excessive dependencies in certain areas.
So, Valdis, you mentioned the last two countries you mentioned just now were India and Indonesia, both of them in Asia. We also saw President Xi of China make a kind of a tour of Asian nations as well, basically rallying those countries to be trade partners with China and to strengthen their ties with China. How active is the EU when it comes to other parts of Asia outside of China as part of this de-risking strategy and making deals with them?
Well, indeed, I mentioned our ongoing negotiations with India, Indonesia, but we are also negotiating with the Philippines, with Thailand. Just recently, we started negotiations with United Arab Emirates. So we are looking around the world, and indeed the focus right now is on Asia, to have more trade agreements which will provide more opportunities for EU economy, for European companies, and will be mutually beneficial.